Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's 8:30 on a Tuesday. That means that it is time for a little tea and wild thoughts with your girl, the beauty influencer. That would be me. That is 30 minutes of dialogue. And these wild and free thoughts of mine. And I hope that everybody is feeling blessed and well. You may be watching this on YouTube a little later, maybe in the evening, maybe in the afternoon. So if you're watching this on YouTube, good morning. Please like, share, subscribe, show a little support to your girl. That's always appreciated. Just getting the vibe right, as I always do. A little Palo Santos. I'm sending good vibes to you. I'm in a pretty good mood this morning, feeling rested and well. I hope that you are. I'm gonna plug one of my products from the self-care store. That is my online store. You can find that on Instagram. You can also find it at the link in my bio. Good morning. Welcome. This is my Sex in a Jar body scrub. And I actually have it in 2 sizes now. So we are expanding, honey. We are getting it together. So this is made of black salt, grapeseed, avocado. It smells like orchids. It smells amazing. It also has a little gold shimmer in there, if you can see it. So, yes, check that out. It will definitely have you feeling sexy. Good morning. Welcome. So I'm drinking a little Irish moss tea this morning. We all been hearing about Irish moss. It's superfood. It tastes okay. It's not the best thing I've ever had in my life, but you like the curls? Thank you, girl. I had to get up extra early last week and put these freaking rollers in my hair. Good morning. So I'm finding the balance and all the new normals that are going on. Still trying to get my self-care in. I actually have a little more energy too because I got some acupuncture this weekend. She is a black acupuncturist, black female, by the name of Cherie, Serenity Acupuncture in Charlotte. Y'all should definitely check her out. She is amazing. All right, so we're going to get into this conversation. And I'm going to start off with WAP. Everybody's talking about WAP. The song, Cardi B and Meg the Stallion. And, yeah, everybody's talking about a lot of backlash, especially from men out here. I've never been a huge Cardi B fan. I will be honest. You know, I got respect for everybody who does what they do. Never been a huge Cardi fan. Always liked Meg. I thought, you know, her flow was wild, but yeah. So I'll be honest, you know, is it a little vulgar? Yes. I mean, I'm 39, you know, I'm about to be 40. But I grew up on Little Kim, so you know, it is what it is. Do I think it's the best representation? No, I don't. Do I think that this part of society exists? I'm getting ready to read that comment. Absolutely. You know, the background is the song. It's some hoes in this house. It's some hoes in this house. It's always been hoes. It's always gonna be hoes, and it's always gonna be men to take advantage of hoes. So I don't really understand where all the backlash from the men is coming from. It says 36 Mafia slob on my knob was no better. Right. There's been degrading music. We're talking about being degrading. There's been degrading music probably, you know, as long as music has been around. But, and so this is the point that I want to make. That a lot of times what happens is society doesn't like certain aspects that are reflected back to them. Let's be real. Men have been degrading women for quite some time. You know, and my argument or my perspectives to someone I was talking to yesterday about it was, you know, man, we don't need your help. You know, like, we can come out and say to ourselves and say to women ourselves, like, yeah, that's a little degrading. Like, that's a lot. You know, like, Okay, we don't necessarily need you like with the song and the boobs out with the nipple. Like, we don't need all of that. But man, we don't need your help. Like, you all have done enough to degrade us. Now that there are some women who are taking that and trying to use it as a level of empowerment, which is why I'm going to get into the conversation about why freedom is such a scary thing. Like, they're using their freedom in a certain way, and now a lot of men don't like the way that is reflected back to them. That, yes, pussy is a form of power. Having great sex, is a form of power. She says, I don't cook, I don't clean, but I got this ring, like, and though, a lot of men don't like this narrative, who are you to come and kind of say, what they should and shouldn't be doing? Like, it's them. They're doing it themselves. They're the woman. They have the vagina. So they can say whatever they want. So I respect that. Ain't no fun when the rabbit has the gun. Bloop, bloop, bloop. I like it. Right. So, again, I can see both sides of the coin. Me, the wild and free thoughts. I tend to kind of resonate just right there in the middle these days. I'm not choosing a side. I can just understand. And again, as much as there are men who are out here talking about it, I see men constantly on timelines looking at naked women. Like, they can do it all day long. So just because you got women who are coming out here and saying, like, yeah, what's good? Like, this, I got this, I'm using it. Get over it. You don't like it, don't listen to it, don't watch it. Nobody's making you do it. And if you don't want your kids watching it, then, do that. Don't, you have control of your children and what they take in. All this sexuality, good morning, has always been here. And let's be frank, it always will be. It always will be. So, like I said, at the core, I didn't say this, but I think what it really comes down to is, at the core, American society doesn't like the thought of sexual freedom in women. They don't like what that looks like, And then we can take that all the way back to what they've been doing to control. They're still controlling, birth control, abortion, what the power that women even have with their bodies. American society, again, anytime, and particularly these black women, these women of color, I'll say, start expressing their sexual freedom and the power that really exists in that, we don't like the way that is reflected in American society. I don't think they like the way it's reflected anywhere in the world, to be honest with you, because patriarchy is a worldwide thing. But we'll move on. So, and just to talk about the 100% agree. Thank you. We're talking about freedom this morning. Black women, white women can do whatever they want. Yes and no. Yes and no, because there is a theory that is going around that a lot of this with abortion is because the numbers of white children being born in America are going down. So that's why they want to control this birthing process, so that white women don't have the ability to abort. And gender is, when I say gender, being a female is its own level of being oppressive. But that's another conversation. So yeah, freedom is a scary thought, and freedom ain't free. It always comes at the cost of something or someone else, right? I was having a chat with someone the other day, and just talking about, again, like, the concept of slavery. We get so upset about it in America. I would never, of course, I'm a black person. If anybody can feel the effects of, what chattel slavery has done in this country, I can. But if we look through time, there's always been a working class. You know, even in the Bible, you know, we had the Israelites, you know, were slaves at one point. Like nothing exists without the opposite. And I think is if we can all start kind of looking at things that way, you know, we'll always be able to kind of, again, just kind of vibrate right there in the middle. In order for there to be this like upper class or this hierarchy, you know, like there has to be a lower class that exists. It's always been that way, and more than likely it will always be that way. Where we kind of get confused and the lines get blurred, or where we lack in our understanding or awareness at times, is that we literally, and I'm going, you know, these are my thoughts, y'all don't have to agree with me, but we can choose. We can choose what side we want to be on, even if we're born into different situations that may be against us. And, you know, down here, I'm going to say, you know, there have always been game changers. So, moving forward. So, yes, it always comes at the cost of something or someone else, because nothing is going to exist without the opposite. Freedom is something to get used to, because you can get comfortable with any level of bondage or perceived bondage. And so, you know, again, just looking at this whole scenario with like Cardi B and Megan, women have been again degraded for how long now? Like, we've been listening to this music that tells us all the time, like, you're not anything more than a piece of pussy. And here you have two women, regardless of, you know, the way they say it, the vulgarity, who said, okay, well, then mine is bomb. You know, like, well, then mine is so good that I'm not going to have to cook and clean anymore. All these things that, again, you know, when it comes to being women in society who haven't been able to make a lot of choices on their own, they're saying like, okay, well, I'm going to take that. It's the 8 Mile strategy. I'm going to take that worst thing that you say about me, and I'm going to create some power with it. I can't be mad at that. You know, I can't be mad at that. So yeah, you can get used to any level of bondage. You can get used to it. You can get comfortable with it. You can, and you know, again, this shows up in so many different ways. You know, whether that is good morning, love. Whether that is, you know, being a female in society and being on the bottom, being black in society, you know, having a terrible job, or being in a terrible relationship. At some point, you've done something long enough, you can definitely get used to it. And so I want to use the example of American slavery, okay? So 400 years, okay? 400 years, black folks with dark skin like myself were in bondage, right? And the first people who came in, they knew the difference, right? They knew that something was wrong. They knew a lifestyle that was absolutely different than this. They were snatched out of that life, right? So they knew the difference. Then, year after year after year came. This is 400 years of this now. Year after year after year, that's all they knew, right? People came into the bondage. And so they didn't have a perception of anything else. They didn't know what freedom was like. They didn't know any different. So that's 400 years of having your terrible food supplied. That's 400 years of having your raggedy clothes provided. It's 400 years of having your days planned out from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. Your body's not your own. Nothing is your own, you know. And so what am I saying? I'm saying again, like, how you get used to the bondage, right? You get used to the bondage. And so, you know, again, now, and just to, again, make the comparison, of course, that is on the most extreme level that we can discuss right now. But we look at how that shows up in so many different ways today, right? You know, whether that is motherhood, You know, whether you wake up, your kids are planning your whole day. You know, like, again, there's beauty to these things, but let's just talk about the real deal. You wake up, you go to a job you hate. You wake up in a terrible relationship. Our traumas and mindsets run deep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, is it a choice? Sometimes. I'm just saying that you can get used to something bad. It's very easy to do that. And so we can't blame people when they're coming out of it and it looks a little weird or it looks a little funny or they don't quite do it right, you know, because you've been so used to something bad for so long. Again, just kind of tapping back into this Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion thing. Women have been used to being degraded for so long. Okay, so now we're coming out of that, and this is what it looks like. So, you know, you're used to this degrading behavior, you're used to this dehumanizing, you're used to this terrible job or this terrible relationship or whatever it may be for so long. And then one day somebody says you're free. You're free. Like, what if your husband dies? Or what if, you know, your kid goes to college? Or what if, I don't know, I'm feeling a need to use some Palo Santo. I don't know why. What if your kid goes to college? What if your kids don't need you anymore? Like, again, like, it's just so many ways that bondage can show up. And then somebody just says you're free. All of a sudden, you're supposed to have this mentality of how to be free. And so when I was talking about what the topic is yesterday, I was saying, like, why are we so scared of freedom? So I'm breaking this down, you know. You know, I use the hashtag a lot, you know, stay free. Like, you know, free yourself. It's in the mental. And, you know, when you're free, you are more susceptible to the good and the bad, right? What's free? Are we really, though? We definitely are. We just need to know that we are. And we need to stay that way. And this is one of the reasons, you know, that we tend to be scared of freedom. Because when you are free, you're more susceptible to the good and the bad. Right? Like, let's just say, again, you're no longer in bondage. You get to go outside, and the first thing that you experience is this wide open land where, again, nobody's protecting you, nobody's clothing you, nobody's providing food for you. Now you have to go and do all those things on your own. So it's not that we tend to just feel like freedom, and the perception of that is just going to feel amazing. You know, a lot of people even go into entrepreneurship thinking it's going to feel amazing. That shit is... it's hard. It's hard to now figure out, okay, nobody's doing your budgeting. Nobody's doing your marketing. Nobody's doing these things for you. Nobody's dictating your hours. Like, you have nothing but time and space, literally, figuratively, to go out there and do you. And so, yes, that can be terrifying. The goal, you know, is to be as prepared as possible, because you're gonna run into some shit. You're gonna run into a bear out there. You're gonna run into something, and hopefully, you know, you have some tools. You have even within the bondage, you know, there are lessons that we can take into our freedom, right? And regardless of where you are in the moment, you know, it starts with the mind and the mentality to free yourself, and to remain free. It's deep. It's pretty deep. I keep thinking about the video, about this WAP video. You know, again, I didn't really care for it. Not because I thought it was all that degrading. You know, we went from Black is King, help the bear. Because look, you know, help the bear, because I ain't going down without a fight. Me personally, you know, like, I already did all this to get free. I'm not going backwards. And to the point of what you said and what we're saying here, you know, there've always been game changers. You know, a lot of times, I see a question here. Why do you think WAP isn't seen as a freedom movement? Again, because we've been so used to the idea of women being oppressed. And we're much more comfortable with that. Again, we can get comfortable with the bondage. And so when America sees two women of color reflecting their sexual freedom, it's oh, will my daughter turn into that? I don't want, like it shocks the system. It shocks the system. So that's why it's not seen as, it's so much easier to not look at it as freedom and to look at it, just cast it down or try to make it something else. And again, I'm not saying that it was the best representation, but it is an effort in that direction. And again, let's just be right. Let's just call a spade a spade. Again, all these married men, these great men that are out here, like they've always taken advantage of women like this. I'm not saying every single one does, but when they go to these barbershops and they go to the store and they look at women like that. They just don't want to marry women like that. So they don't like that reflection. That's my personal opinion. That's why it's not looked at as freedom, because they don't want that to start a trend. They don't want that to become something that artistic freedom, does that count in this paradigm? Absolutely. Freedom is freedom. Freedom is freedom. We're just talking about the concept of freedom in general. Again, whether that is, maybe you've been married for 20 some years and you want to live your life without connection to this person. It's still you have to cut that cord. It's still a level of freedom. Whether that is, again, working a job for however many years or switching careers and I have done it. I've been there a few times myself, and I know how scary it can be to like, okay, well now I don't want to be attached to this label as a makeup artist. So, and this is just my personal testimony. So like now I have the freedom to sit here and talk to you guys. Like in the beginning, that shit was scary. My voice was shaking and everything. Like, we're just talking about why it's so scary, to be free. And when you think about being in some level of bondage for however long you've been in it and getting used to those things, I just think we can cut people some slack. We can cut ourselves some slack. Like it's not always going to look great because we don't know what it feels like. We've never felt that sensation. And again, and even when you get out there, there's going to be some things you'll confront. There's going to be some vulnerabilities. There's going to be some danger. There's going to be, there's a lot that comes with freedom. Freedom ain't free. That's one of the first things I said. Freedom is not free. So, and in spite of, just using that example as well of slavery here in America, there have always been game changers. There have always been people who, in spite of, because a lot of times too, we use this bondage as an excuse. And I hate to say it that way, but, I was in bondage for so long, that's why. We all have trauma. We all have disappointments. We all have things that make us who we are, but there have always been people who have busted that wide open and said, I'm still not going to let that hold me back. I'm going to be free. I recently watched Harriet. I remember that movie got a lot of backlash. That's a whole nother conversation. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was great. And, there was this point where she started to jump in the river and she looked at, this man coming after her owner. And she said, I'll be free or I'll die. And she jumped in the water. Okay? So, that's how it is. Yes, it's going to come with some danger. But either you want to be free or you don't. And sometimes, again, that's the mental slavery. Sometimes it's, well, I got to leave this job. Or I got to leave this relationship. Or I have got to make this decision because I want to be free. yes, I'm willing to experience all the vulnerabilities and all the whatever comes out there that I have no idea what I'm going to experience, because there's going to be a lot of beauty out there too that I'll discover. There'll be a lot of joy, and I have the time and space and mental space to take these things in and really enjoy them. You know, like, again, even sometimes we think we need a certain amount of money, or we need, I'd rather have, you know, some mental headspace to enjoy my life and add some years to my life than have, you know, this societal, what society says I'm supposed to have, what they dictate I'm supposed to have, and still be miserable. You know? You gotta make the decision for yourself. You really do. So I'm gonna share my wild thought of the day. And this came up in my Facebook memories. Okay, phone. It says, if you don't build the confidence to sustain your blessings, you will succumb to every attack that will try to keep you from them. I think a lot of us love the idea of being free, but are we fully prepared for all that being free really, all of that being free really entails? Yeah. You know, I use that hashtag, you know, stay free, free yourself. You know, I don't attach myself to what meaning people put around it. I know what I mean, you know, because I also understand the journey is not linear. You know, it's not linear at all. It will come with some bumps, some bruises, some mountains, some hills, you know, some valleys, some snake bites, you know, but it'll also come with some roses and some waterfalls and some butterflies, and, you know, it's amazing. And honestly, you can't even really appreciate one without the other. You really can't appreciate it. You know, when we start talking about things like privilege, whatever type of privilege it is, it's something that's just given to you, something that you don't even know the difference, you know, of it, because you just have it. You know, privilege gets such a negative connotation, you know, but it's because you just don't know anything different in the world. You know, it was given to you. So how do you know what you have? How do you know how to value it if you don't know the opposite? You know, and so that's life. That's that duality. You know, the only reason we know, you know, how this Cardi B, you know, Megan thing shows up is because we know what, you know, Mary Magdalene women look like. Freedom comes with also holding yourself accountable. All the snaps, yes. And again, that's that preparation. So there's nothing wrong with either side. It's just knowing that either side, the bondage or the freedom, is still going to come with duality. It's just going to come with different levels of it. You get to choose, though. You get to choose. You can be out. You don't have to stay in any situation you don't want to be in. Those across time never have, whether it was Moses, whether it was Harriet Tubman, whether it was Megan Thee Stallion and them. You know, like, the girl got shot in the feet. You know, that's what her sexual freedom, you know, comes with some shit. The question is, are we truly ready to experience all that comes with one side or the other? The choice is always yours. Find the beauty, folks. Find the beauty. So, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, hashtag choices. Absolutely. That's what it's all about, folks. And know that you always have one. You're not trapped. You can be trapped in your triggers, but again, it starts right here in the mind. So, free yourself. Hashtag free yourself. So, if you are watching this on YouTube, I thank you. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you can stay updated with the content. Check out the self-care store, link in the bio. Come see me in Charlotte at Essential Aesthetics and Laser. I forgot to mention that I am at a new spa doing gua sha treatments and makeup. So you can book an appointment with me. Come check me out. Information on my Joy Taught Me page on Instagram at Joy Taught Me. After those sessions, we have a cup of tea together and we discuss everything that is felt in your treatment. Pretty cool. I hope that you guys have an amazing day. And God willing, I will be here next Tuesday with some OT and wild thoughts. So, peace, y'all.